The Dead Sea stretched before Aarav like a mirror of his own desolation, its lifeless waters glinting under the merciless sun, whispering secrets of a world that had long forgotten how to heal. He stood at the edge, his bare feet sinking into the cracked, salt-encrusted shore, his heart pounding with a grief so heavy it felt like it could pull him under the surface forever. 10 years ago, this very spot had been his sanctuary, a place where laughter echoed and dreams felt eternal. Now, it was a graveyard of memories, each ripple in the water a reminder of the life he had lost, his wife, his daughter, his purpose. Aarav's hands trembled as he clutched a small, weathered photograph, the edges frayed from years of being held too tightly. In it, little Maya's smile beamed brighter than the sun, her tiny hand clasped in his, while Priya, his wife, laughed in the background, her eyes sparkling with love. That was the last day they had come here together, before the accident that shattered his world. The Dead Sea, once a symbol of their family's joy, was now a cruel witness to his unraveling. Aarav had returned not for closure, but for answers to why he survived when they didn't, and why, after a decade of running from his pain, something was calling him back to this forsaken place. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, or in the power of healing even the deepest wounds, please hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, share this story with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks for more stories that touch the heart. Aarav's journey back to the Dead Sea wasn't a choice, it was a compulsion, a pull he couldn't explain. For years, he had wandered through life like a ghost, moving from city to city, job to job, trying to outrun the memories that clung to him like salt on skin. He had been a marine biologist once, passionate about the mysteries of the sea, but after the accident, the ocean felt like a traitor. The car crash that took Priya and Maya had happened on a coastal road, the vehicle plunging into the waves as Aarav, helpless in the driver's seat, was pulled free by a stranger while his family drowned. The guilt had hollowed him out, leaving behind a man who could no longer look at water without seeing their faces. Yet, something had shifted in the last few months. Dreams began to haunt him, vivid, relentless visions of the Dead Sea, its still waters glowing with an unnatural light, and a voice, soft and familiar, whispering his name. At first, he dismissed them as grief's cruel tricks, but the dreams grew more insistent, pulling him toward Jordan, toward the place where his happiest memories were now buried under layers of pain. He had no plan, no idea what he was searching for, only a desperate need to understand why the Dead Sea was calling him back. The journey to the shore was grueling, not because of the distance, but because every step felt like wading through the wreckage of his past. Aarav had sold most of his possessions to afford the trip, leaving behind a cramped apartment in Delhi filled with untouched reminders of his old life, Priya's favorite scarf, Maya's stuffed elephant, a half-finished painting they had started together. The flight to Amman was a blur of sleepless hours, his mind replaying the accident in an endless loop. When he finally arrived at the Dead Sea, the air was thick with heat and silence, the kind of silence that amplifies every thought, every regret. The shore was emptier than he remembered, the once bustling tourist spots now faded, the resorts half abandoned. The world had moved on, but Aarav was stuck, tethered to this place by invisible threads of loss. He set up a small camp near the water's edge, a tattered tent and a single backpack, and spent his first night staring at the stars, wondering if Priya and Maya could see him. The dreams returned that night, stronger than ever. In them, Maya was running toward him, her laughter echoing across the water, but when he reached for her, she dissolved into light, her voice whispering, "Find it, Papa. It's here." He woke with a start, his face wet with tears, the photograph clutched against his chest. Days turned into weeks as Aarav lingered by the Dead Sea, searching for something he couldn't name. He wandered the shorelines, combing through the salt-encrusted rocks, diving into the shallow, buoyant waters despite the pain it caused him. The locals, few as they were, watched him with a mix of pity and curiosity. An old fisherman named Khalil, whose weathered face carried stories of his own, became Aarav's unlikely companion. Khalil had lived by the Dead Sea his entire life, his hands calloused from years of casting nets into waters that held no fish. He spoke little, but his presence was steady, grounding. One evening, as the sun bled red into the horizon, Khalil sat beside Aarav and shared a story of the Dead Sea's ancient legends, tales of lost souls trapped in its depths, of miracles hidden beneath its lifeless surface. "The sea doesn't give up its secrets easily," Khalil said, his voice low and gravelly. "But it always gives them to those who need them most." Aarav didn't believe in miracles, not anymore, but Khalil's words stirred something in him, a flicker of hope he thought had died long ago. The turning point came on a stormy night, when the sky churned with clouds so dark they seemed to swallow the stars. Aarav hadn't slept, his dreams now a relentless assault of images, Maya's face, Priya's hand slipping from his, and always, that glowing light beneath the water. Driven by a force he couldn't explain, he waded into the Dead Sea, the salt stinging his skin, the waves unusually rough for a place known for its stillness. He dove deeper than he ever had, ignoring the burn in his lungs, guided by an instinct he didn't understand. Beneath the surface, the water was impossibly clear, and there, nestled among the rocks, he saw it, a small, luminescent object pulsing with a soft, otherworldly light. His heart raced as he swam toward it, his fingers closing around a smooth, pearlescent stone, warm to the touch despite the cold water. When he surfaced, gasping for air, the storm had calmed, and the stone glowed faintly in his hand, its warmth spreading through him like a memory of love. He didn't know what it was, but holding it felt like holding a piece of Priya and Maya, a connection to something beyond his pain. The stone became Aarav's obsession. He spent hours studying it, turning it over in his hands, feeling its warmth ebb and flow like a heartbeat. Khalil, intrigued but cautious, told him of an ancient Bedouin tale about a stone of solace, a relic said to appear only to those whose hearts were broken beyond repair, offering them a chance to heal or a glimpse of what they'd lost. Aarav didn't know if he believed the story, but he couldn't deny the stone's effect on him. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of purpose, a reason to keep going. He began to explore the Dead Sea with renewed vigor, diving deeper, searching for answers about the stone's origins. Each dive was a battle against his fear of water, a confrontation with the guilt that had defined him for so long. Slowly, he began to notice changes in himself. He laughed more easily, shared stories with Khalil, even helped repair a local school damaged by a recent flood. The Dead Sea, once a symbol of his despair, was becoming a place of transformation, its barren beauty mirroring the slow rebirth of his spirit. But the stone wasn't just a gift, it was a challenge. The dreams continued, more vivid now, showing Aarav glimpses of a life he could have. A life where he forgave himself, where he found a way to live for Priya and Maya, not just in their memory. Yet, the stone's glow began to fade, and with it, Aarav's newfound hope. Panic set in as he realized the stone's power might be temporary, a fleeting chance at redemption. He dove deeper than ever, ignoring Khalil's warnings about the sea's unpredictable currents. One night, caught in a sudden undertow, Aarav nearly drowned, the stone slipping from his grasp as he fought to reach the surface. In that moment, he saw them, Priya and Maya, not as ghosts, but as memories, smiling, urging him to let go of the guilt that was drowning him. He broke free, gasping, the stone lost to the depths, but something had shifted. The sea had taken the stone, but it had given him something greater, a realization that healing wasn't about holding onto the past, but about carrying it forward. Aarav stayed by the Dead Sea for months, no longer searching for the stone, but for himself. He worked with Khalil to rebuild parts of the local community, teaching children about the sea's history, sharing stories of Priya and Maya that no longer broke him. The Dead Sea, once a place of death, became a place of life, its stillness a reminder that even in the most barren places, hope could take root. Aarav's grief didn't vanish, but it changed, becoming a part of him rather than the whole. He began to write letters to Priya and Maya, leaving them in the water, letting the waves carry his love to wherever they were. One evening, as he watched the sunset paint the sea in hues of gold and crimson, he felt a peace he hadn't known in years. He wasn't healed, not completely, but he was alive, and that was enough. If this story of Aarav's journey, of finding light in the darkest of places, has touched your heart, please leave a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks to join us in spreading stories of hope and redemption. Before we end, we'd love to hear from you. Please drop a comment below and share what this story meant to you, or how you've found hope in your own life.